amazing book here, and it's written by an equally amazing lady, Amanda Clinton, and it's called How I Sold My Soul. How compelling can that be?
Well, I certainly wanted to write a title that would catch people's attention.
Yes, it did get my, the day you brought the book, you saw my reaction to it. How I Sold My Soul, a man's journey. May I read what's at the back?
Please.
Just a bit of it. It says, a young lawyer sells his soul for £6 million and influence behind the High Court in London. There is only one catch, that he dies at the end of a 20-year term. During those 20 years, he gains more money and influence than he bargained for by advocating in high-profile cases, becoming a member of the Illuminati.
Yes, secret society.
Okay. And advising iFuture, a company at the forefront of modern technology. However, his ever-growing drug addiction eventually causes him to collapse, and while sedated under a coma, a guide takes him on a journey through time, events and locations throughout the world, including London, Sicily, and Jerusalem.
Yes.
Who are you? Like, seriously. No, tell me about, I just read a few pages because I wanted you to just lead me on this journey.
Well, this is basically a fiction. It's a book about a man who sells his soul to eventually gain it in Christ. And in the 21st century, I wanted to do it in a slightly different way, in terms of a real-life character who goes through real-life issues, and then you see all those issues play out in 20 years, and then you see his money, his power, his influence, and you see his addiction, which, grips his life, essentially. And he enters a coma and has a spiritual encounter with a guide, because I didn't want the reader to think, but how could he go from one location to the other in 2 seconds, etc. So I needed to put my character, Mr. Man, in a coma in order for him to have this real spiritual encounter and get to know this God that he'd been rejecting for many years.
I have a friend who's such a critic. Ike, you read 1,000 books in a year. I'm going to let you criticize this book. Just read it today and tell me what you think. Seriously, I think it's a masterpiece. That's what I think. I hate stories that are predictable, stories that you can just predict what's going to happen. This has a lot of twists and turns. But mostly when people are writing stories, I don't know, I'm not a writer, but how does it come to you?
Well, I mean, I'm so moved by this book in writing it, because...
You wrote it yourself, right?
Of course I wrote it myself. I wrote it myself. But I'm moved by this book because I had the concept since 2006 when I met a young Russian who told me he sold his soul.
He sold his soul?
Well, that's what he told me. I didn't believe him. But I had the concept because he told me that. And only when I joined a choir in Accra did a book that was sitting inside me for like more than 4 years just pour itself out. And so I really know that it was spiritually led, and I've just been so impressed to just do this, because I mean I wrote the book under Our Father's House, which is my company, because I really think I want to build God's spiritual house by using a variety of platforms, including books that can really touch people. Because I mean, Jesus's ministry wasn't in a church. We never read that, oh, Jesus's church was located here or there in a building. So I think in building God's spiritual house, you just have to meet people where they are, and even if you consider them to be spoiled, to someone, someone might comment that the woman you showed, because she had a drug addiction problem and chosen rehab is helping her, she's spoiled, and why are we wasting, or why are you wasting your time interviewing her? But I really think that God is an amazing God, and He can give us beauty for ashes, as Isaiah says. So the ashes that was her life and was this character's life, God will give you beauty in terms of a renewed spirit, a renewed mind, a renewed look. And so everybody who looks at it will say it's only God who must have done that.
£6 million.
I needed it to be a real figure for someone to really, think twice about it. But with my character, he didn't even think twice about it, because he wasn't religious. He doesn't believe in God.
People wouldn't think once.
They wouldn't even think once. But the whole point about the book is that you're going to go to eternity with your soul.
Absolutely.
And if you really believe you have a soul and it's going to last eternity, and then you just receive 6 million for an earthly time, you're not a great negotiator, basically. That's what I think.
So who would want £6 million to live on this earth for just 20 years? Let me see by hand, the people in the studio. £6 million, so you can live in this world for just 20 years. Come on, guys, £6 million. You're fake, all of you. Okay, all right. So then, what is the morale? I mean, what really do you want readers to get out of this?
What I want readers to get is that even if you're Christian, even if you believe in God, you don't believe in God, believe in the fact that you have a soul that will take you to eternity. So however your life has been and however your life is going to be, realize that you have to build up spiritual currency in terms of just getting to know this God that you might have forgotten, and just behaving in such a way that you can behave spiritually here on earth and in heaven. And you know, at the beginning of the book, I use an Italian quote, which I think is Il messaggero non importante, which means the messenger isn't important. So me, as the writer, I'm not important.
There's a message that's
Mr. Man, the character, amazing life, you know, so much money, so much power, so much influence, really amazing to read. But he also is not the importance. The message that your soul is so important.
I think in this life we emphasize on things that really don't matter.
Yeah.
That is it. The ones that really do matter to us, we don't pay attention to.
Yeah.
So trust me, I mean, this makes for good reading. It said, how I sold my soul. You're probably there, very, very unhappy. But it takes something this little, if you search within yourself, to find out that happiness is just a stone throw away, but you're probably focusing on all the huge things that are so not important. Where can this book be found?
From next week, you can buy it at Silverbird Cinema, or Silverbird Bookshop, should I say. You can also get it at Des Amis Coffee Shop on Independence Avenue, and Melting Moments, and then we hope in a couple of weeks Malcolm will be stocking the book in all different branches. But I mean, I really hope to do a lot with this book and, you know, eventually make it into a film, because I think the character is so dynamic, you could really do a lot with it.
You really can. This makes, I don't want to even say it again, some film guy will probably steal the story right here, so, you know.
Well, I've copyrighted by going on shows like this, etc.
That's so smart. That's very, very lovely. So, how I sold my soul. A lawyer who sells his soul for £6 million so he can live on this earth for just 20 years. And it's like bittersweet.
It's bittersweet. I mean, and I think, and the ultimate message is that we sell our souls. I mean, this was literal in terms of he sold his soul, but we sell our souls in different ways, in terms of working too hard, you know, just worshipping a man or whatever it is that your issue is, or drugs, as we saw with the woman just before I came on. You know, we sell our souls in different ways, but it's just about quantifying that your soul is so much more than anything on this earth, and that God will give you beauty for ashes, in terms of your, you know, your life could be ashes, but he can give you beauty.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are thousands of households now that are suffering. You know, daddy goes to work, mommy goes to work, and the kids, that you never get to see your kids.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, you probably ask yourself, why are you working so hard, not taking any time to really enjoy the life that, you know, you're supposed to be enjoying? So, I mean, it's time for some reflection now, isn't it?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Time for reflection. How I sold my soul? A must read, but I could have to pass it first. So next week I'll let you know how he voted on it.
I look forward to that. And you can also go on my Facebook page, which is Our Father's House Ghana Ministries. So just have a look at it. And I'm also on Vibe FM, you know, every day, doing inspirational messages every morning.
Okay, wonderful. Nice having you here. I love your name though.
Thank
Amanda
you.
Kwokwo Clinton.
I had to put a Kwokwo in so people know I'm Ghanaian.
Yes, that was a smart move. That was a very smart move.